Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. Today, I'm going to be talking about 10 countries where Americans aren't allowed in 2025. This is a pretty interesting topic, and I'm sure you're all curious to know more. Before I get started, I want to make it clear that this information is based on current trends and policies. It's possible that some of these countries will change their policies in the future, so it's always a good idea to check the latest information before you travel. 10 countries where Americans aren't allowed in 2025. North Korea. North Korea is one of the most restrictive countries in the world, and it's no surprise that Americans aren't allowed in. The country is ruled by a totalitarian regime, and there are strict controls on what foreigners can do and see. Iran. Iran is another country that has strict restrictions on foreign travel. Americans are not allowed to enter Iran without a special visa, and even then, they are subject to strict surveillance. Syria. Syria is currently in the midst of a civil war, and it's not a safe place for tourists. Americans are not allowed to enter Syria at all. Cuba. Cuba is a communist country that has been isolated from the United States for decades. Americans are not allowed to travel to Cuba as tourists, but they can visit the country for business or family reasons. Sudan. Sudan is another country that is currently in the midst of conflict. Americans are not allowed to enter Sudan without a special visa, and even then, they are subject to strict security measures. Afghanistan. Afghanistan is a dangerous country, and Americans are not allowed to enter without a special visa. Even with a visa, Americans are subject to strict security measures. Yemen. Yemen is another country that is currently in the midst of conflict. Americans are not allowed to enter Yemen at all. Libya. Libya is a dangerous country, and Americans are not allowed to enter without a special visa. Even with a visa, Americans are subject to strict security measures. Somalia. Somalia is a dangerous country, and Americans are not allowed to enter at all. South Sudan. South Sudan is a new country that is still struggling to stabilize. Americans are not allowed to enter South Sudan without a special visa, and even then, they are subject to strict security measures. Why are Americans not allowed in these countries? There are a number of reasons why Americans are not allowed in these countries. Some of the reasons include political instability. Many of the countries on this list are currently in the midst of political instability. This makes them dangerous places for tourists. Security concerns. Some of the countries on this list have a history of terrorism or other security threats. This makes them dangerous places for tourists. Human rights concerns. Some of the countries on this list have poor human rights records. This makes them undesirable places for tourists. Economic sanctions. Some of the countries on this list are subject to economic sanctions from the United States. This makes it difficult for Americans to travel to these countries. What can you do if you want to travel to one of these countries? If you're still interested in traveling to one of these countries, there are a few things you can do. Get a special visa. Some of the countries on this list will allow Americans to enter with a special visa. You can apply for a visa at the nearest embassy or consulate. Travel with a tour group. Some tour groups specialize in traveling to dangerous or restricted countries. This can be a good option if you're not sure how to navigate the visa process yourself. Hire a local guide. A local guide can help you navigate the customs and culture of the country you're visiting. This can be a valuable asset, especially if you're traveling to a dangerous or remote area. I hope this information has been helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment below. Thanks for watching.